So beautiful Monday. It was a busy Monday morning though. So we are here in the afternoon. It's a little after 1:30. And yeah, I was just had a lot of things to take care of this morning, so I just didn't have a chance to get on until now. It's kind of one of those things where, well, I have to do this, and then when it gets a little closer, it's like, well, then this is coming up, and then so I'll move it on to the next hour, and then it's like, well, if I start up now, then it'll be lunchtime, and it's just a bunch of things. So I just decided to put it off until now. Um, let's see. Let me do my tweet real quick before I forget. I believe I forgot last week several times, so I'm gonna try and be in the habit of that. Okay, so back on the alt plot, secluded landing. We were doing a little bit of decorating last week, checking out ideas of how to do your holiday tree, Christmas tree, Winterfest tree, however you want to call it. We had originally a like a fall wreath. It was golden wheatgrass and everything, and I just figured it was time to kind of update this plot with a little bit of holiday decoration. So I just kind of walked you through the process of deciding what kind of tree you want to use. In fact, we have a couple of examples of what we were playing around with last week, different ideas for trees that you could use. In fact, I think we will just go ahead and move these. I don't want to necessarily get rid of them because, they're pretty, but we don't need them that big in here. So I'm going to move one of them to the top of the little trunk here. Just going to kind of plop it on there. Hey, Soccer Top. Thank you for joining us. And maybe just some indoor decoration. You don't have to have your tree always on the outside. A lot of mine tend to be kind of meander outside, but you can do the interior too. So we're going to make a little one there. And where can we put the other one? Let's just put a small one here underneath the key rack. So try and get all of these linked together here if I can. It's a little tough trying to pick out what's what here. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Ours was pretty good. Weather could have been better, but could have been worse too, so. Okay, I think I got all of it. We're just gonna break that down just a little bit and pop it over here. That way you got a little bit of greenery and we get to keep the examples that we did, that we made. For those that still want to look at them. Okay, so I kind of explained how I normally go about with the string lights. Like I said, for the one that I have in the Protostar Sky Plaza, my mains plot, once I had the circles done, I just tilted them a bit to kind of give them a little bit of, because normally when you see strings of lights on the trees, it's like little loop-de-loop thingies, and there's really no easy way to kind of mimic that because your string of lights is set in a particular curve. Your tree's not going to be all nice and fluffy and full, so there's these little gappy things that may or may not look nice. So I found that making them the little circles first and then tilting it the way I wanted kind of fit better. But this one we're going to leave just straight up, just rounds. You don't have to use the string of lights if you don't want to. Perfectly fine if you don't. You could use some other kind of thing to kind of simulate a string of lights. You could use the hanging cables and then put things on them like either lanterns or round things like the protostar bomb or who knows, files and things. I gave an example of the Christmas. Oh, that just reminds me, I didn't do the Advent thing. So let's hop back over to my main real quick before I forget that. I've been really bad with I've been like a lot like shiny and just kind of skip over to something else and completely get distracted. But you could just like the string of lights that I made with over the weekend that was revealed on my Twitter feed. See, again, I have to go over those because we didn't stream those. So Fridays was the puppet, the marionette, and then Saturdays was see if I can get a good zoom in here as best I can. It's really hard to get a good angle at these. It's just a regular traditional ornament. This is essentially, I don't know, 15 or so pieces. It's 4 domes, or you could use the hollow domes, whichever you had handy. I think I had domes handy, so. But I had 4 of those. 2 of them were orange colored, and then the other 2 were Draken. And to get this like little striped pattern, what you do is you copy them exactly, and then the 2 that you want to be offset, you just turn them a little bit, and it makes that nice little pattern. Usually when you're like copying exact same items, you don't want the orange wall to be overlapping the other orange wall so that it jitters like that. Has that stripe pattern. Generally, but if you're looking for some interesting kind of architectural like little differences, this is a good way to do it. So it's just domes of plastered right on. I mean, their exact position is the same, but just slightly turned a little bit so that you see the striping. The white bands are plates. I just laid down several of them, started from the center, worked my way up, and then did the same thing going down. And then the little hanger is, I think it's the anchor. I don't know the full name, but yeah, Resold Marauder Anchor is the little bobble top thingy. Then Sunday's reveal was a string of lights. And all this is I used a hanging cable. You could use the other one, but just because of the shape of the box that I was having to put it in and the way I wanted it angled and everything, this one was better. It didn't like stick out, and I didn't have to make it too small to fit. The lights themselves, the flashing ones are detonators. It's just the little, if I can pull it out here, just the little blinky thing at the top that's showing. The red is actually an Orin wardrobe. It seems like a big waste because it's like a huge item, but I had some extras and I liked the color of it, wanting it red, and I didn't want to use more lights, which normally you would use like the red lanterns. But the wardrobe is just 2 of the little bald feet, and then I've just got to insert and turn just enough so it's just the 2 that are showing instead of all 4, and then it's just repeated along the line. For the like pearl white ones, this is of course the tall files. Just a simple little thing for that. So but it was fun. You know, that kind of thing really wouldn't work if you're trying to do that on a tree, because you've got all that other stuff that you know you're going to have visible. But when it's something like this where you can hide most of it, you know, you can get away with a lot of stuff. So, okay, so today's reveal, day 14. See if I can do this. And if you can't tell what it is from a distance, it is the Rudolph, the crazy-eyed, the crazy-eyed reindeer. I know it looks disturbing, but I didn't like the angry eyes that are actually on this little head bust. It's the mounted head of the buffalo moose. If you look at it, it really has like some angry eyes. It's like, you know, I can't believe you killed me and mounted me on the wall here. So basically, I've used the buffalo moose's head. I've inserted into the wall so that you can't see the part that it's mounted on. I didn't want to look like somebody had hunted Rudolph and stuck his head on the, like a trophy kind of thing, even though it kind of still looks like that, but it's not as outright because he doesn't have like a little plaque background. I used the massive, well, the ocular sphere, I used to say massive, the ocular sphere for the eyes to kind of give them a little bit more comical look. For the nose is, of course, the red balloon. That's why it's kind of wiggling, so it looks like he's kind of like twitching his nose at you. And of course, the buffalo moose has a really long, well, here, let me show you. These really huge horns. And I didn't want those showing, so I tucked as much as I could get away with into the wall. You can still see a little bit right along the bottom part of the other antlers. And of course, the other antlers are coming from the Chupacabra bust, which you can kind of see a little bit of his head there, but I'm hoping that it doesn't detract too much. So that's my holiday reindeer there, the big bright nose. You could probably use a lantern if you really want it to glow. That would probably work, and of course it would move then, but I wasn't too worried about it being seen or visible or anything, so I went ahead and went with the balloon. So yeah, that's the reveal for today, the Rudolph reindeer thing. So back to my alt plot. So anyway, if you're looking for other, you know, it doesn't require that you use string lights for your Christmas tree. Of course, we're getting some new ones coming with the Winterfest holiday. We're going to get several different little string things that you could use that look like holiday cards, or to me they look like little bank cards, like credit cards that they've used for spending or whatever. And they have like the little protostar UFO thingies and some other things. So you'll have a little bit more variety, but if you're going, you know, traditional, then this would be one way to kind of handle the string lights and how the curve is kind of wonky. The only thing is, you know, like I said, as you get smaller, going up, it can get to where you don't even see the lights anymore. So, you know, kind of keep that in mind when you're planning it out. Excuse me. So today, we kind of did a little bit of like ornamentation with the white flowers. I'm going to see about adding some more flowers of a different color to just kind of give a little bit more pop. And then we'll talk tree toppers, and then maybe come up with some little gift box ideas or something. It'd probably be just creative or anything, because really if you get into the whole customizing your gift boxes and gift bags and things, it can get really costly in decor. Granted, and on this particular plot, I can probably get away with it because I don't really have, I mean, I still have a good amount of cushion as far as the core count goes, but I realize that for a lot of my viewers, that's not the case. And so, while I do prefer custom building a lot of my stuff, I do know that, just using a chest or a crate or something is perfectly fine. But, maybe you can find ways to kind of jazz them up a little bit. Okay, so first we're going to see about another kind of plant to use. We're just going to go into the plant section, and for Moran, I didn't really have too much. I'm going to see what the teal looks like. I only have a couple of them, but I just want to see as a for future reference if they really show up nicely. It could be that you can make an entire tree out of teal spiral leaves, and that would look really lovely. I think that would make a really nice looking kind of tree. So yeah, it shows up pretty good, especially if you're going for an Oran type theme. The more foliage and flowers and stuff that you can introduce in, the better. But see, you could like plant down a pine tree and use that as your guide for shaping. Kind of like what I did with the white tree that I did for Thove. I used domes as kind of a guide for the curve. And you can do the same with this one. You could just get a bunch of these spiral leaves and just go nuts with planting them there and follow the shape of the pine tree. And then eventually you could just get rid of it or leave it, make it keep it nice and solid. But mostly you just kind of create your own spiral leaf topiary kind of thing. And really that would be a lovely colored tree. I think that would be nice. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have a whole bunch of them, so I'm not going to do that here, but it's a good idea. I think that would make a lovely coloring of the tree. Now, I do have a spare renown, so we might, I'm going to see how big and bright this thing might be. Don't want to go like huge, but might be just enough of a pop. It really kind of depends on, what you use is determined by like maybe the decor that's in the room that you're putting the tree. If you have a primarily rustic looking kind of like the house here, you can probably get away with just about anything really. But if you have something that's all neonish and stuff, you might want to go for more things that would blend better there. A flowery little Christmas tree might look out of place in a bar with a lot of neon and things like that. If you want to do it, that's fine. But I'm just saying, if you're looking to kind of match it together, you might want to think about that. So I'm going to place that one. We're going to kind of see. I'm not sure. I'm happy with that. See what other colored flowers can we get. You could try the floating red ones. Normally I would go for just straight up the habanero ones, but since this character doesn't have those, we'll probably skip that. I think I like these better. There's more of them. They're kind of spread out and it just looks more of a holiday color to me. So I'm going to skip the pollen flower one. We'll save him for another day. Another project. Just going to see if I can kind of show as many of these as I can. Without it looking, I think I'm going to have to see it anyway. That one is just kind of sticking out there, isn't it? So let's see. There we go, that looks all right. And then we'll just copy that around. kind of, I don't know, just eyeball it, whatever feels good as far as spacing and angle and how you have it rotated and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't want to turn for me. And again, remember to check from all positions, because you might think, well, it looks pretty good, and then go to the side and it's like all like 50 miles out from the tree, and that won't work very well. That looks okay. I'm only going to put a few of these in, maybe 4 or 5. They're just for little accents. They're not like the primary. Notice, again, you have to pay attention to what's showing, because with the tree being bigger down towards the bottom, you can get away with having a really big plant, but this one I'm going to have to be careful about it, because it'll probably be poking through there. Change this while I'm moving this around. I hope everybody's having some good days recently. We got the holidays coming in, so a lot of people have been busy or busier. I know I have been. In fact, I've got a holiday party to attend this week. Something I go to every year. It's mostly to as a kind of a gift to my mother-in-law. She's very big on socializing with her fellow ladies, and I'm not. I always preferred not getting. I typically hate family gatherings and stuff, because it's usually just a big pain in the rear, you know. And I'm not much on like family gossip and stuff, so those kind of events never really got, was never really something I look forward to or planned, for. I guess as I've gotten older, I've kind of understood that, some people find a great deal of enjoyment in that, and my mother-in-law is one of them. And so I make a point. She invites me every year to go, and I always make a point to attend. So, hey JK, yes it is. I agree with you. JK says housing is cool, and there is no argument there. I wholeheartedly agree. Granted, I know housing is not for everybody, though. It takes a certain amount of patience and perseverance, because it can be pretty trying at times. Okay, so let's see. Is that enough? I don't want to overdo the red, but I don't want to take away from the rest. But I think that'll work. Just a hint. I don't know. Wait a minute. We gotta put one down here. We're missing something. Let me grab one more. The fun thing about your camera. If you have something like this beam in front and you turn it just right, and it's gonna say, hey, gotta turn my camera a bit. Let's see, I'm gonna move that one lower. See how it did? It's a little thing. I gotta make sure that base isn't really showing too much down below. I don't think it is, so it should be all right. Okay, so there's a little bit of red there. That's all right, I think. Feels like it's still missing something, doesn't it? I hate putting so much in there, but oh well. One more. Maybe. Turn this one this way. Oh, for crying out loud, my camera just does not want to cooperate. There we go. I think that's enough. Yeah. Okay, so kind of got our ornaments done. I don't really want to add too much. Sometimes, as they sometimes say, less is more. You know, you don't want to overcrowd it. In fact, if you notice later that something's a little too crowded, you can always just kind of, you know, move it over, spread it out a little bit, get rid of some of it. You know, just because you put it in there doesn't mean it's there forever. You can mix it up, change it up. And, you know, like later, if an item from the Winterfest comes along and I say, hey, I think that would work better than something I've already been using, then hey, change it out. You know, that's the joy of housing. You can modify it, you know, out the wazoo. Okay, so tree topper. Typically, you think of star, or I do. You know, others might, you know, be like an angel or something, but I usually steer clear of those kind of things, just for my own personal sake. So you can, you know, there's all kinds of little character things that you could put on. So you could, you know, top it with a plushie if you want. But most people, I think, go with a star. I've seen the stars made from various things. I've used the star off of the beer sign, the rectangle one. I think it actually has beer star sign or something like that. That one's trickier though because you have all of the rest of the neon sign that you have to kind of tuck in. I got away with it last year because, again, my tree kind of did just like this one. It kind of went up straight up to the roof, to the ceiling. So I was able to hide most of the sign in the ceiling, and that would probably work here as well. Like the majority of the sign up into the beam here and just have the star part. And the only thing you'll have is just a little smidge of the blue straight edges showing. But you know, you can just kind of play that off as just some extra neon flare or something. Or like a star that's got like something shooting out from it. Bananas work really well. We saw Allie's winter home. I think it was the week before last. She used lots of bananas in her holiday decorations. So hers was a little more elaborate than the ones I've done in the past. Usually I just do the 5 bananas and make the little shape. But hers were like doubled up. So it kind of looked almost like, it reminded me of like a balloon animal. But it was like a balloon star made out of bananas. The one at the Protostar Sky Plaza currently, I'm using tiny crystals, tiny blue crystals. The only thing about those is they're harder to come by. But I've been collecting them for over a year now, so I've managed to accrue quite a few. So whenever I get a chance to use tiny blue crystals in some manner, fashion, form, or whatever, I take advantage of it. And this happened to be a really good way to use them as a nice crystallized looking star. Um, Maybe later we'll go and take a closer look at that, but for now we're going to see what we can come up with for this one. If you want just a flat kind of star shape, you could use maybe a couple of the triangles sandwiched together and turn just so to make a nice star shape. It doesn't have to be a star shape. You could just put a circle up there, you know, a couple of domes. You could leave it without, you know, you don't have to have a topper. You could use just a bow, you know, maybe one of the fancy bows, the little bow tie. You could just put one on top of there. I'm trying to think what else might work. I don't know if I got any of the drapes. Oops. Oops. Man, I can't spell. Like the red drapes, the open ones, you could like shrink it down and make it look like a kind of a bow kind of thing. You could top it with one of those Datacron data cube things and have it just kind of bouncing on the top there. That would work. Really just anything. It's kind of just, you know, up to you. If you're going for like the theme, like the ones that we discussed last week, if you're looking for like specifically for like, say, the beer, you know, for a granite tree, they would have lots of beer cans and wine bottles and things like that. You could top it with a beer can and call it good. Since we're kind of going with a lot of flowers, I'm going to see if maybe we could just use that, the one that I bought earlier, the bloom, the pollen flower. We'll just use him, I think. Not that big, of course. That's a little on the large side there, but just so the renown I spent doesn't go to waste. So you kind of, when you're doing it like this, you could buy multiples and kind of get it from all angles so that no matter what direction of the tree that you're looking at, you'll see the nice little sunny flower star kind of shape up there. But since, you know, normally I would probably be looking at it from this direction, that's the direction I'm going to aim the flower for. So, whoops, I want to pull it away. I just kind of wanted to turn it a little bit. There we go. So that's my tree topper. It's just almost looks like a sunflower to me. Just needs a big stem. You could use, you know, you could make a sunflower patch. There's an idea for a gardener. You know, use some of those leafy stalks, put the sunflower on there, and you got yourself a sunflower patch. Okay, so next is the gifts underneath. Again, you could craft your own. We've got plenty of like floor pieces you could use to make a nice little three-dimensional cube box. You could layer several together and make rectangle shapes. You can make a little pyramid shaped kind of things. And of course, if you want something round, use the dome. So you got your three basic shapes that you can kind of fake into as being, you know, that's a little gift box or something. But the easiest way, the simplest, is to just go with different types of containers. Typically, when I'm using something in a way that you normally, you know, I'm not using it as a crate or a lockbox or anything. I'm using it as a gift. Normally, I try to steer away from using those items anywhere else in that particular plot build. Because when you're using a lot of multiples and you readily can recognize what they are, it gets kind of confusing to some. And they think, well, so it's just a bunch of, you know, lock boxes underneath. And it kind of it's like, I wouldn't want to use these little leafy stalks here to represent, I don't know, asparagus or some kind of herb, and then also have them as bamboo somewhere else, and then use them as a tree elsewhere. It kind of looks not redundant, but it's confusing. And that's not to say that you can't use the same item in multiple ways, but I think you have to kind of pick and choose which ones you want. So like here, in here I've used one of the little chests as like a keepsake box. And then I've used the bigger one over here as a bigger one. It's kind of like a matching set, but you got one for the table size and then this bigger trunk size. So I probably don't want to use that particular one as one of the gift boxes under the tree. I want to keep it something else. So let's look in the containers section. You could go with cardboard boxes, but that does look a little cheap, especially when you can like kind of see in it. Now, if you want to play like you've gotten somebody a pet for the holiday, you could put like a little plushie inside there so that as they're peeking in the little gap, they can see the little plushie. And that's kind of like, the little pet box has holes in it and kind of thing. And you can get away with that. But just for, I like using this one. I know it's expensive. It's 1,000 renown for one, but I like it because it looks like it's already got a ribbon on it. I know that's not really the case, but it reminds me of that, and that's why I like using it. So we're just going to plop one of these down here. And let's just straighten that up. Now I'm making it straight, but because of the way that the tree skirt is, you don't want it to be exactly straight. So just gonna kind of get it sorted, and then I'll tilt it a little bit. But it looks like it's not exactly flush with the. Don't want to look like it's about to fall over either, though. So what I'll probably do is put like another box or something on the side so that it looks like it's holding it up. You could use two of them together to get that little crossing there. Might have to size it up a little bit so that you can get it to work. Well, it looks like one hides from the other, so maybe size it down. There we go. That way you can kind of get the ribbon on all four sides. But like I said, it's kind of expensive with the renown cost. Not everybody has like a gargantuan amount of renown to just throw away, so don't want to go with that. Crates is okay. They're a little bit neater than the cardboard boxes for sure. If you're going for a tuba theme or someone that's into weaponry and stuff, this would work great. It looked like, it's an overstuffed gift box of that sort, all celebratory and dangerous looking. This one's good if you want to kind of stuff it with your own things, like maybe you have a crate full of plushies. You could have several poking out or one falling onto the ground. In fact, we'll do that with this one. Don't really think I have very many plushies on this character, but just as an idea, we'll put some stuff in it. And let's see what else. This one's okay. This is another good one if you want to pretend that it's, got maybe an animal in it. These look like breather holes to me. You could even make this upright so that the handles are up at the top, so that, you carefully pick it up. I normally would kind of not use these because to me they don't make sense, but you could if you wanted. This is another one if you want to role play or something that you're getting a friend or somebody's giving you a pet. You could get a couple of these to make a full page, and then put your little plushie or something, or even maybe somebody gives somebody else a chew for Winter's Fest. This could probably work as maybe a really badly gift wrapped gift. Somebody just ran out of paper or something. Another kind of way to kind of crowd it up so it looks like there's a lot of stuff under the tree. Mostly I go for boxes. The odd shaped containers, not so much. The sacks, those are another good one. I'm not sure, I haven't really checked to see if the ones that are coming with Winterfest are actually hollow inside. I have a suspicion that they might not be, but I really don't know. I actually forgot to check that. But I saw somebody asking that not long after I took a look. I was like, man, I really should have paid a little closer attention. But if it isn't hollow, you could still get away with just tucking some things in and making them look like it's inside it. I mean, we do that now with a lot of things anyway, so I'm just going to lay down a couple of these. Suitcase metal, maybe you want to pretend somebody got you a laptop or something like that. That would be all right. Other containers that you wouldn't find in the container section would probably be like the grain sacks, if you want a really big pile of presents or something. Let's see, I don't know. You could use pictures, specifically posters. Those make a good, I told you, fashion your own boxes. If you're looking for like a rectangle, let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Like we use this one. Usually I use it for cabinetry, and which is what I've got in the kitchen inside, but we're going to just kind of quickly show. You could leave it so that the actual poster is showing if you want to pretend that that's the gift wrap. And we'll do that with this one since I've kind of worn out the old gray stuff. Let's see, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, I think. Now, because you're not going to actually see the entire package, you can get away with not giving it a floor, a bottom. But for the rest, you'll have to actually kind of show that. So we're going to make it yay big for now, and then I'll change it up here shortly. Let's see. So I'm going to rotate this on the vertical. Okay, and this is where the sizing comes into play on how we want it to, how big do we want it. Now I'm just doing a quick eyeballing here, so it's probably going to look really sloppy, especially since I've chosen a really poor camera angle here. And we're just going to move this one to the neat edge of that. That almost kind of blended. I almost didn't see that one because it's so much the color of the wood. Hey G, thanks for joining. Okay, so a couple more copies, and then I think our package. Whoops. Make sure you click on the numbers instead of doing the little housing dance there. Did I not copy that? Or just duplicate first, people? See, I was going to do the dance again because I didn't have things selected. Okay, and one more time for the other side. Definitely do this elsewhere so you're not having the trouble of the camera getting in the way. All the other decor. You could build this in the air up above and then just kind of sink it in however you want. Okay, so there we have a little gift box. Maybe it's a box of Beyond the Fringe magazines or something for the lucky receiver. Let's see. I'm gonna move this way. I'm going to put the magazines in a different place. So I'm going to link this up. I'm going to get all the pieces. Zoom out a bit so I can see the little button. There we go. So now we got all the pieces together and we're just going to push it over. Like I said, you could add extra little decorations. Maybe you want to make it look like it's got a bow on it. Again, the fancy bow tie is a good option. If you don't have access to that, then probably the next easiest thing to get a hold of would be the To a Couch pillow. It's red, and you can kind of pretend it's a bow. I've done a few before, and it kind of works. You just have to find the right. I mean, it's really thick and fat and not exactly friendly for bow making, but you can kind of get away with it. See if I can get this straight first, because that's just bugging me. Okay. Something along those lines. And then I usually copy it, rotate it the other way, like so. That's like the top of your bow. You know, I don't know what they call them, the little ribbon bits. And then duplicate it again and just do it the same way, like so. Now you could try and just make the pillow kind of peek out along the sides to get like the ribbon is going all the way around the box. That's tougher though, because it will eat up your decor count. If you don't mind that though, it's a fun way of really making it look like there's an actual ribbon all the way around the box. Basically, you just try and meet the corner. You're aiming for hiding the entire corner, and eventually that means you'll hide the rest of it. So you just want just barely the edges of the pillow showing. Now the reason I don't size it up to make it go all the way down is because then your ribbon width will be like huge, and you don't want that. Another one, and then just bring that down all the way to the floor. There's the front, and then you just repeat that all the way around, and that gives you your little ribbon. I'm going to move this a little bit. It seems to be stuck inside the other box. There we go. See, is that little tight on the bag? There we go. A little bit better. Okay, so we'll do the same with the other ribbons. You probably make sure these are nice and straight, but the way the pillow is so oddly shaped anyway, it's gonna be kind of hard to make it super straight and everything anyway. But if you can get it kind of close, that's all right. Again, you just want it just barely showing. Having a hard time seeing where it's landing here because of this button. Get out of the way. There we go. One more time. Well, I say one more time and it's one more side. I probably should do the one inside too, but I'm going to cheat and ignore it. We're just going to take care of the 3 sides. The last one. And voila. So now you have a little ribboned gift box. You don't have to use red. I typically use red because, I don't know, I think that's what I do. In real life, I use a lot of red ribbon and things, but you can use others if you have lots of the towels. You could make white ribbons. I often use the folded end. I've made little scrolls out of those. But one of the things I like to use is, I think it's a detonator. There we go. Got to spell it right first. This one here, it looks kind of like a little tie, one of those red ribbon ties for a scroll, and you put one of the white towels down, sink it in so that you just see the very end of the folded part, and then put that little thing across, and that makes a good little ribbon. The only reason I'm not suggesting this for a gift box ribbon is, well, it probably depends on how much space is from the top to bottom, because you might have this sticking out in a spot that you don't want to. For instance, if we try to, well, I'm not even going to try because I'm pretty sure the space of that is pretty narrow. So let's see, do we have any plushies? Look like it. I'm like horrible with this poor character. He has no toys. He's got a balloon. That's about it. Got somebody asking about the holiday housing competition that Venus Rising is holding, which I should mention before I forget that. We do have 2 housing competitions ongoing at the moment. One is open to entity only, so if you're an NA player, definitely want to check it out. It's being hosted by Black Dagger Society. I don't know all the details of the due dates and everything. I've really been bad about checking that out and confirming and noting it down so I can kind of relay that information. But I do have the thread linked in my resources section on the Twitch channel page, so be sure and check that out, or just visit the official forums if you don't want to click a link from there, and look in the entity realm forum subforum there in the, I don't know what it's called, the subsection or whatever. It'll be there somewhere. I think their prizes are ranging from plat to, I think the top prizes are holiday mounts. I'm not for positive on that, but I think that's what I read. If you're on either entity or Jabit, and it's, you know, both factions, be sure and check out Venus Rising's housing competition. That one is actually, it's the advert for it is up, but registrations or signups haven't actually begun. That starts, what is it, Saturday, I think, the 19th. 19th is the first day that you can start submitting your houses for consideration. The judging doesn't actually start until after the 27th. I think 27th is the deadline to submit your house, and then from there on to January 10th, I think, is the judging period. But yeah, there's specific rules to both contests, so be sure and read all of the fine print, because there are some special requirements, specific, you know, especially for Venus Risings. They have, like, they want you to have some protostar kind of tribute included in your plot, and it does have to be winter related. I don't know if that excludes, you know, non-snow winter plots, but you know, you probably have to take that up with Nilia, the one that is actually running the show. But definitely, if you think, you know, you have an interesting plot, apply. The worst that can happen is that you don't win, you know, but, you know, you definitely won't win if you don't give it a shot. So I say, you know, give it a shot. No one's going to laugh at you. And I know with Nilia's, and probably Black Dagger Societies as well, they're going to be showcasing everybody's plots. It's not going to be just the winners get a little, you know, video or something. Nilia is planning on doing a lot of tweeting of screenshots and things of all of the contestants. So, you know, everybody will have their little bit of fame and everything. So just to show that we appreciate everyone's efforts. Okay, so toys. I need something for the box. Okay, let's put a little sphere down there. Wow, that's a big sphere. Do that, and guess I'll have to see if I can get her some plushies on. I don't think she has any rep with anybody, so it'll probably be like nothing. I can't even think of if like Glarus and stuff has plushies. I'm sure they do, I just don't know which ones offhand. I used to know that stuff, but I've gotten really bad about not keeping that in my head. So let's see, what have we got in here? We've got like trees, and maybe we can do a stack of books as a gift. Just as something. Gotta have something. Rather than just some boxes. most of my Orin characters are readers, so. And, you know, this would be a really complicated one to kind of get a ribbon wrapping going around it, but you could probably do it. It's the same way with people with the waterfalls. They kind of just use lots of them to kind of stair step it down. And you could do the same with the ribbon, but it'd be kind of tough, I think. Because, you know, the ribbon naturally wouldn't like follow the contour exactly. It would be kind of like gapped a little bit, but can't really do that with this kind of ribbon because it would be solid all the way. But this is just to show that, you know, you don't have to have everything boxed and wrapped. You can kind of just plop out some things that you think would look like a, you know, because you've seen the ones where some people have a tradition where like one present is unwrapped and already waiting under the tree for the kids to play with. Or maybe that's just something I've seen other people do, I don't know. But this gives you an idea that you don't have to have everything in a nice little decorative box. But, you know, books are often a traditional gift. I'm just kind of making sure not everything's like overlapping each other. It looks a little weird if everything's clipping. I don't know what to put in the box. Let's see, what else have we got here? Bottles, we could have a creative wine or something for her. Cheese box. Let's put some cheese in. Got a lot of... Oh, that was weird. Wasn't this one... Did that one say blockless? Let me see. Cheese wedge... Okay. I could have sworn that was on a different line than the other one. So I'm going to fill this little crate with cheese. Probably really not going to notice it. Most people probably wouldn't, but I'm going to make this a crate of cheese. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but my aunt used to send us every year one of those goofy, like a little care package thing, but it's one of those that you get from like the Cracker Barrel or something, and it always had like these weird little foil wrapped squares and rounds of like squishy cheeses. It wasn't actually like an actual cheese. It was like all this, I don't know, imitation stuff. It was like they had like these weird flavors, you know, infused into this gooey cheese, and we'd have like a couple of sticks of that smoked sausage or summer sausage kind of stuff, and a little assortment of like little tiny jars of jellies, and you know, they have all these little funky gourmet weird combination kind of things, you know, like onion jelly and something that looked green, and it was just, but it was one of those things where it's kind of like an indulgence, where it's like, yeah, you normally wouldn't eat this stuff, but you know, it's the holidays, and it's kind of like eating fruitcake. You know, most people go, ew, fruitcake, but you know, when it comes, then everybody's munching on it because it's there. It's the holiday thing. Yeah, well, she never sent us wine, but cheese and wine, yeah. But cheese and sausage, and it had like little crackers and stuff in it, some of it. She used to send us one of those every year, and it was like a big thing for the family to kind of, we'd sit in front of the tree and just munch and munch. That was our little our little kind of snack before the big meal. Let's see, I'm going to put a block of cheese up top. Oh, yeah, for the gifting game. Yeah, you could do some cheese and wine. My cheese is like all over the place right now. I was thinking about, maybe like labeling it that is cheese and wine. That, I think that would work. Wow, this thing's just getting rotated out the wazoo. Don't know if that'll come off as an actual label, but what I'm going to pretend it is. So you got cheese and then the wine. Which one? I like this one because it's got that nice okay. We've got a wine bottle. The gap there is not very big, so it's not like you can stick a bunch sticking out nicely. Try and get one out there. I'll also make sure it's not poking through the other side of the box. And then I need a little one for the label. Sometimes I have the strangest ideas. There we go. So it's a cheese and wine box with cheese and wine in it. Awesome. Okay, so you can put as much as you want. If you want a bunch of things underneath, like if you want, say the metal crates, just to kind of fill it in, you can do that. Kind of defeats the purpose of putting a little tree skirt around there if you cover it completely up. So, keep that in mind when you're trying to decide, do I want a skirt on it? Do I not? Like if you just want to add some extra little oomph to it and make it look like it's going to be, lots of stuff, then you can do that. Add another pile of those and select it again. Just in the back here. Something like that. Make it look like there's lots of little presents. And that pretty much does it. I mean, you can add lighting if you want. If you're not really crunched on lighting stuff, do that. If you are crunched for it, but you still want to give it a little something extra, you could throw in some candles on it. I've seen lots of people do that. Allie, the one we toured a couple weeks ago, that's what they did in some of theirs. In fact, that was all they had in their trees was candles. because like I said, the string lights, these currently don't count towards your end light count, because it doesn't give a buff like the actual lamps and stuff do. Um, if you want something that it kind of gives a little bit of a glow, but isn't actually a light, maybe some of the exonite stuff would work. I don't know if there's any. Yeah, I don't think I have any of that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's none on the vendor for sale. But like, I think the octagonal shape one would be good for that. You can kind of shrink it down and it'll look like little, almost like a round ornament. You just tuck it into the tree and that'll give it some glow. It's not really stringently bright, but it'd be something a little extra if you really want to make it pop. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that gives like a kind of a glow, but like I said, you could use the data cubes. You could just have those dabbled around. We have a question. Can't wait to dig into housing system, by the way. EU version. First of all, welcome Saffron to the stream. I really couldn't say. To me, the population is really good, but I think it depends on what you're doing in game. If you're looking for a lot of dungeon queues and things like that, especially if you're trying, aiming for PvP, a lot of people would probably say that the populations are still relatively low. It also depends on the hour that you play. If you're going for prime time for Europe, that would obviously be still just like in NA, it would be later in the evening. During the day, most of us are at school, at work. That will kind of free up a little bit with this holiday season coming in, because a lot of people are, having a break from school. Some are taking vacations from work and stuff like that. But even still, they're going to be divvied up because a lot of them are dedicating some of that free time to family time. So it's not necessarily going to be guaranteed that it will rise in the game base, the player base. But generally speaking, I feel like it's pretty comfortable. I mean, when we go for like when the contracts are world bosses or world events, there's like literally hundreds of people in one area just. It becomes, it's actually kind of an issue because it just your FPS drops so much because there's so many people around, because it's those bosses are meant for like one raid team of like 40 people, and usually we have 4 or 5 raids going at once onto the same thing. So yeah, I've never had a problem with finding people. Even when I was in the lower levels, and this is earlier in the game, because it's been a while since I was in the low level areas anyway, but I never had trouble finding people to like do a group quest with or whatever. And I was always running across people, and we'd kind of group up temporarily when we were doing some of the same quests. I would say that whichever realm or region that you decide to get on, check out if they have like a global chat channel. We don't have those. I don't think they come standard, so you have to actually join the channel. And I think he uses. I really can't say what it is because I don't use it myself. I'm in a guild, so I usually rely on my guildmates for any kind of group activity I'm going to do. But if you're not in a guild, find out what the global chat channel would be. I know there's a looking for member or looking for group kind of channel as well, for like if you're really looking for those that you want to do regular veteran dungeons with, or any kind of dungeons with, especially if you're leveling up. And definitely, if you haven't gotten into a guild, check those out. The forums is the first place you want to check out for like information about the guilds. We have a lot of good ones both on NA side and EU side. So if you haven't gotten into one of those, definitely check that out because most of them are pretty newbie friendly. Uh, if you're looking for something, if you're going aiming for rating and stuff, finding a guild suitable might be a little tougher because they have a little bit tougher um, criteria maybe that they're expecting. Maybe you have to raid X number of nights per week or something. But if you're just looking for a casual, friendly guild, there's lots of those around. And most of them are more than happy to take on new players because they love to answer the questions and stuff. But really, in the majority, even if you just ask on zone chat, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a response from somebody if you have a question. If it's about housing, just ask in the housing zone chat. They're very helpful there if you're looking for a particular kind of theme or something and you want to get some ideas for your own. Just ask on that. But yeah, I don't know about the ping situation. If you're in NA and you're trying to play on EU, I have no idea. I think a lot of that depends on the rig that you're using and things like that. For me, I probably, again, it depends too what you're wanting to do in game. If you're looking to do raiding and stuff, the ping might become an issue. It just really, I would suggest asking that on the forums because I'm sure there's those that have experienced it, playing on, living in EU and playing on NA and vice versa, and they could better relate to, relay some information about, if it's really horrible, if it's manageable, any kind of add-ons or extra kind of things that they did to kind of ease that pressure or pain. But it just really depends because, like I said, if you're not really into the raiding scene and you're just there to, do some dungeons and stuff, I think you could probably get away with it. It really depends on the people that you're with. And because, even in the dungeons, they can be kind of brutal at times, especially the veteran versions. Myself, I don't really do the dungeons. I usually stick to the expeditions because they're soloable and I can do them, at my own leisure without having to bug anybody. But if the ping is really bad, then you might have trouble dodging a lot of stuff that you want to dodge, and so it might be put a little bit more stress on your healers or something. Or maybe if you are the healer, it might put your group at risk if you're not able to keep a steady stream of healing up. But if the group that you're with is willing to consider that and have that in mind and are aware of the issues, they might not hound you about it. But again, that really depends. Like I said, it'll help if you get into a good guild, one that's willing to work with whatever kind of situation you're wanting to set up. If you're just absolutely against joining a guild, then definitely look for information about the global channels that you can get into, like the looking for group. I think there's a looking for raid even maybe. There may be some PvP ones as well, but I'm not sure. If not a channel, then maybe join a circle. Circles are a little bit, I think, harder to come by because you don't really see too many of them advertising. Doesn't mean that they're not out there, but it'll take you some research and getting into. Because like I said, it really depends on what you're doing. If you're just here to goof around in your house, then your ping that won't matter at all really, because the housing is pretty simple. Oh well, yeah. There's definitely it's kind of like there's always going to be a little bit more somewhere else. The grass is always greener kind of thing. But no, I consider the population to be decent. I'm not going to say it's robust because there's always room for more people. I mean, the more the merrier. So if you do get into it and friends that might be interested, sure, bring them over because, like I said, the more we have, the better. But as far as it being like a ghost town, no. Even early in the mornings when I'm here, and you'd think there'd be like nobody around except, some nutball like myself, there's still several people, you know, challenging around. There probably will be a noticeable difference as far as um, seeing all of that activity. Uh, a bigger difference between low level zones and the high level ones, because your daily zones for the level 50s are obviously going to be more populated than any place else, because most of us that have stuck around this long, that's where we are. Not all of us are alcoholics. I myself have quite a few, but I don't really play them, other than to do like this, have a house on it. Um, but even those that I've heard go through the alt experience and do some leveling up on the side, they say it's really nice. There's a lot of people still running around. There's always somebody out and about. So yeah, if you do decide to come over, welcome. That's all I can say. And of course, like I said, be sure and check out the Jabit forum and see if there's. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing a thread that discusses some of the global channels that there are available. I know there's an actual thread for guilds. I think there's one for circles as well, but that one's not so active. The guilds definitely for sure though. And the one that runs the guild one, he does like I think it's a monthly check just to confirm if the guilds are still active or not. So that's a really good thing for him, because that way you're pretty confident that if the guild is still listed on that thread, they're still active. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're recruiting. You'll have to check in with them individually. Like the one I belong to, for instance, ours isn't recruiting at the moment, but even though we're highly active, it's just we kind of want to keep it small. But you'll have to find that out between the guilds. But yeah, I wish you much luck, and I hope you get into the housing. I have to warn you though, if you're anything into like decorating and stuff, we may never see you once you hit 14, because a lot of people will say, oh, I want to get to 50 right away, and then it's like the brakes hit, because as soon as they hit 14 and they land into their house and they start digging into it and decorating, then it's like, for some of us, like myself, it becomes an obsession almost. You just kind of can't help but doodle around in your house, and before you know it, several hours have gone past. And yeah, it's a big time muncher. So maybe you'll become one of us. But yeah, I hope it works out well, as far as your ping and all that stuff. And I wish you luck on. Yeah, exactly, soccer. Exactly. You will be stuck at 14. I was like 14 for a long time. It's like I creeped up past that. But then, well, you have to level, because then you got the decor from the reputation vendors, and you can't get the reputation without the questing. So then you have to quest, and and then of course, well, then they have these events like the space chase and things, and you're like, well, I got to do this, I got to do that, and so eventually you get to 50 and you're like, yay. But yeah, housing can be quite the bittersweet kind of experience, because it eats up your pocketbook as well as your clock. But like I said, a lot of my projects that I build on here, I try to stay cheap as possible, and hopefully gives folks ideas to kind of keep it affordable. Because granted, people look at me like, wow, that must have cost a fortune to make. Really, I don't keep track of it, but it's also kind of an investment thing. I've accrued all of this decor and stuff over a period of a year or more, so you can't really compare my crate and my kind of stuff to someone that's just starting, because they're going to have to, uh, accrue their own decor and stuff. Well, see, that's the way it is soccer. Well, I got to get to 50 because I got to have that fab kit. I don't think do they have. I don't think they have level requirements anymore. I'm not sure about that. I know they removed it off of just regular decor, but the fab kits, I'm not sure. I can't remember now. Now I know like some of the housing features, like the bunker house, that isn't necessarily tied behind a level thing, but it is tied behind a money thing. So if you don't have like 3 plat, the day you start, you'll have to work up to that to get it. That was one of my goals when I first started, was working up the money for it. And of course, while you're working on the money, then your leveling happens. Yeah, I thought they did, but I wasn't sure. It's unfortunate, and I hate that they don't stack, because then your whole bank's full of fab kits that you think, well, maybe one day I'll use it, and then you don't. And like myself, I don't think I've used a few in the past, and I've got like the haunted house one on my main spot right now, but I hate them so much, because I don't like not being able to turn them how I want. And of course, some of them, like the challenge ones, are all like got those barriers on them, and you stole your friend's flag. Well, that's one way to do it. It's like my alts, they all have stolen from my main. That's another reason why you have to have at least one character at 50, because they're the ones that fund everybody else's, little projects on the side. Anyway, so that's our holiday tree for Turnip's plot. Not bad, considering it's just mostly stuff either I had on hand or we got straight off of the vendor. Like I said, that's the way I prefer to do my decorating for the most part. There are some things that, may be a little rare, but I try not to overdo that too much. So probably tomorrow we may come in and do a little decorating on some of these other ones. Or we may do something else. I have no idea. I will say that I've got a new project I'm working on. In fact, I might go ahead and show you this one. What it is it's a guildmate has opened up her home to any guild member that wants to join her on her plot. She's offered to make us roommates. And what it is she had a partial build already, and then she says, okay, you come, you pick out a spot on my plot, claim it as yours, and you decorate it how you want. So she gives us roommate status, and we go in and decorate however we want. So this is the Laomi tree climbers plot. Man, I'm like dyslexic or something. Now, I've never showcased this plot, and the reason is because she was always in a state of work in progress, and it was like just a small portion was done, and I'll show you the part that she had. But she's going for like a pirate kind of, I don't know, dock kind of little area. So you see these little buildings here. This is a guildmate's little section here. This is somebody's. Somebody's is going to be back here in this little cave area. Probably someone will pick this little plateau up here, and then there's just all these little different areas. This is what she used to have on her main plot. She was making a boat, and you can see she's still kind of not completed it. Getting closer though, I think. But this was, I think it's a lot farther along than it used to be. It didn't have the little beams and stuff like that I remember. So I just never got around to streaming her plot because I was kind of waiting for her to finish, all the other stuff. But once free to play hit, she finally come back and got a little bit more into housing. So she's really gone out and above and beyond, and just really worked up a nice place. And of course, she's doing this little theme of letting some of us come into her plot and build our own little, carve our own little area out, but to kind of match it to the theme. So I'll probably be showcasing this later on the stream sometime when she's pretty much done. But this is the part that I'm working on. I cordoned off my little area with some orange fences, and I am working on a little. I say a little, it's like turned into this huge little thing, but it's my little pirate hut house thingy. 2 levels. I'm still working on the logistics of the rooms and the interior and stuff, but basically it's mostly stuff I've grabbed off of the housing vendor. Again, that's especially when you're working as a roommate, it's always super inconvenient when you want to add something new to the crate. You have to actually give it to the person that owns the plot, then they can create it, then you have access to it. So I usually tend to kind of just buy off the vendor because it's readily there. I don't have to wait for that person to log on to get that stuff into the crate and everything. Yeah, this is what I have so far. It's getting there. I'm hoping I don't like hog up all of the decor just to get mine all finished, but I have a bad feeling I've kind of let myself get carried away. So I may end up having to shrink this down a bit and not get as too detailed. Notice I'm putting in faux windows just for the fact that I don't want to have to kind of piece around the wall just to leave a gap there. As it was kind of a pain to do that for the doors. That kind of thing. I've tried to be nice about, using as few pieces as possible, but, in some places it's just a requirement. You have to use those pieces. But yeah, so that's what I have so far. I just started working on it, I guess it was Saturday, so it's just been a couple of days. It's just that, once you get an idea or you have a good reference, I actually spent most of Saturday Googling up references for like concept art and like little tree houses that people have made to look like, or playground things that, people have made to look like little pirate kind of shacks and stuff. And I found one that I kind of liked, so I'm kind of making my own version of it. It's not exact, but it's reminiscent of it. So it's helped some. But the problem is trying to find the pieces that work well. Because, like these boardwalk pieces, they have all those metal things sticking out, and that's really awkward. And I had to make the sidewalk up here, the little walkway, wider than I really wanted to, because if I didn't, then you wouldn't be able to walk it because the metal pieces block you. So I had to make it a little wider so you could still go around and get into the little hut thing. So yeah, that's part of the thing. So it's one of those, it's kind of I'll change it when I need to, or I'll say, oh, that doesn't look right, and I adjust it again, and I just keep tweaking with it until I get something that I like. But right now I'm building it at a right angle. Everything's at 90 degrees or at 0 or whatever, so that it's easier to turn and rotate things and match things up nicely. Once I get it all finished, probably just the skeleton of the building done, then I'll probably link it all up together and rotate it, because I really want the elevated part, some of it to be kind of in the water. So this might turn into like a stairway, but also kind of maybe like a dock going out over to the water, kind of thing. So it'll be turned later, but I'm going to turn it as one piece, so that, because working at an angle with everything, that's really tough. So if you're building something, build it at a right angle first and then just link it and turn it that way. That's my advice anyways. I found that to be the easiest. So anyway, that's one of the projects we're working on. Um, Maybe, depending on what's going on tomorrow, we might come here and build a little bit, but I was really kind of wanting to stick with the holiday stuff for the stream for now. I have been doing some more visiting in the random places. I found a lot of nice new spots, plots. Um, but of course, I'm only showcasing the wintry type plots right now. I have got a few in mind for Wednesday, but I'm keeping a list. I've got a little like tour queue now of all of these homes that I've been seeing, and I don't want to forget to tour because I feel like I've kind of bypassed some of them that's on my must-see list because there's just so many, and I only visit like 3 or 4 weeks, so it's like, and then we get some new ones. It's like, oh, this was, and I forget about some of the ones that's been on the list for a while. So I've been trying to keep a little listing of, okay, these are houses that I definitely want to tour at some point, and we'll just start checking them off as we go. Um, I actually have seen a big improvement on the Dominion side, not necessarily for the winter kind of theme, but just in general, I've been seeing a lot of new names and plots popping up, so that's encouraging. For a while, it seemed like I was really struggling to find new places over there, but I don't know if it's just with the free to play. There's now that people have had a few months to kind of collect some stuff and kind of get familiar with the building system and everything, that now we're starting to see more places open up or what, but it's been encouraging, so that's a good thing. I do know too that Nilia is also planning to start doing some of her housing adventures. I don't know if it's necessarily just going to be doing tours, but I know she's going to be probably streaming some of her own work, so that'll be something. It's always fun. I think I've been not the only one to stream. I know Dark Sparky does some streaming while he works on his plots. And I try to tweet when he's on, but the hours we seem to kind of not have the same time. Even though we're both EU players, he tends to do his stuff a little later than I do. So, but yeah, I think we're gonna call it for today. I really don't know how long we've been on, but it feels like it's been a while. My throat's starting to get dry, and I don't want to get back into the coughing and stuff like it was a few weeks ago. So we're just going to call it for today. I hope you guys had fun with decorating on the tree again, talking a bit more about, other options that you can have. I'm always open to questions, suggestions, and things like that. So, if you have something specific you want to know about, even if you don't want to talk about it on the Twitch stream, feel free to message me in game or contact me via the forums or Twitch a private message or Twitter or however, whatever's comfortable for you. I'm happy to answer questions, happy to help brainstorm if that's what you have. I would mention too, I do belong to a housing circle. It's called Homeowners Association. And if you'd like, if you're on Javit EU Exile site and are interested in joining, it's kind of a small group. It started out as a group that belonged to a guild together, and then they've kind of slowly started expanding, brought me and a few others in. If you think you're interested in joining, feel free to nudge me about an invite, and I'll be happy to pass along one of those. It's mostly just folks that, maybe you're looking for some feedback for something that you built, or you're having trouble thinking of a particular item, what you can make it with, like say you're looking for a hat and you don't want to use the same old judge's hat, you're looking for something else. We're there to kind of help brainstorm. It's kind of like an immediate feedback kind of thing. Who was it this stream? Well, Niliana, I don't know the full name. I think it's Niliana Venus Rising. I think that's her handle. She's planning to do some housing streaming starting the first of the year, I think. But the other one that actually does do some streaming, in fact, I just ran across his plot. I think he opened it up for public recently. Is Dark Sparky. I think that's his handle. If not, nudge me on Twitch and I'll try and get you hooked up with the exact name. But I think it's Dark Sparky. British fella. I think it's a picture of him, and it shows him saying that he's wanting to be a broadcaster, voice talent kind of thing, because he's got a really deep voice. He looks like he wouldn't. He's one of those guys that looks like he wouldn't have a really deep voice, but he does. So he's definitely got a voice for radio. I mean, it's the right kind of like baritone kind of sound, but he's got like umpteen plots. He's like an alcoholic. A lot of his plots that we see is under the Duck Door name, like Duck Door Frankenstein. We visited his last week. That's one of his, I think. But he's been working on an Eldon facility, I think, an abandoned one. I've actually got it down as a must tour it later, but again, I'm kind of focusing on winter stuff right now, so that one's not really suitable at the moment. But yeah, he does stream while he builds occasionally. It's not as regular as me, I think, but I know he does stream some. Because I went and sat in while he was building, and we kind of like. I went to watch one of his streams, and he was like, somebody was suggesting that he moves a fountain, and he had just been talking about how many, like literally hundreds of little waterfalls he'd used to make it, and then he goes, I'm not moving that. And it would be like, there's no way I'm going to move that piece by piece. I was like, well, just link it up. And he was like, I've never linked anything. I was like, oh my gosh, you need to link. Use the tools. Makes it so much easier. But yeah, he's been doing it like the hard way the whole time, I guess. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that I do the hard way as well. But it was just funny because I think he's a great builder. He's got a really fantastic imagination and creative use of the decor. And then to find out he didn't know how to link, I was like, what? I can't believe that. So I walked him through it, and he was like, I'll have to remember that for later. I was like, yeah. But I know there's a couple of others. I think Olivar sometimes streams some of his stuff when he's working on it. I think mostly he does videos after the fact, though. He does a lot of showcasing of some of the items that we get, like the ship pieces for the space chase. He did some showcasing of that. And I think Idastinia, I don't know if they stream live building, but I know they record a lot of their building because they do like the what do you call it when it's like zoomed up, the speed is zoomed up, time lapsed. They do a lot of time lapse videos of when they're building something. I don't know how to do that. Otherwise, I probably would do that and it saved a lot of people having to listen to me jabber for several hours. But yeah, that's just some of the housing kind of content creators that I know of off the top of my head that do a lot of housing content. So if you're looking for that, and I usually tweet a lot of the stuff. If you follow my Twitter feed, you probably catch a lot of them because I usually try to retweet everything that they're showing off and things, including when they go live for streaming and stuff. So. But yeah, I think we'll call it good for today, and I hope you join me again sometime. Doesn't have to be tomorrow, but hopefully. And for sure, if you're not really interested in watching the boring building part, if you just want to see some, gorgeous houses, be sure and drop by on Wednesdays. Wednesday mornings. I can't give a specific hours, anywhere between 8 and 11 a.m. CET time, because my mornings are kind of shaky as far as scheduling, but it'll be somewhere in that window. And we'll do housing tours. I do them every week, and typically we try to alternate between the factions. So Last week we did some Dominion homes, so this week we'll be visiting some exile homes. And of course, this month being the winter holiday kind of time, we've been doing a lot of visiting winter-esque plots, the theme with, snow covers and things like that. Some of them are Winterfest, they've got their trees up and everything, but not all of them are. So yeah, be sure and join in for that. And even if you don't watch live, you can catch my videos on the Twitch channel. I archive everything. I also send it to my YouTube channel, so it's there for anybody that maybe can't catch it live, but can spend a few minutes here and there, watch it. Hopefully you learned something or get inspired. That's the main thing. That's my goal. Anyway, thank you guys for joining, and I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.